So there's a new crop of entrepreneurs who call themselves accessory designers. And I keep wondering, what do they even do? How do they make money from what they do? And which real problems are they solving for our country, Ghana? Well, on this episode, my guest, Sedita Mensah, will help us with all the answers. Join us. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome. Welcome to the episode 4 of Talent Master Show with me, Maxwell Mensah. On this episode, I'm interacting with Sedita Mensah. She is the CEO of AdjeleyGH Jewelry. We'll try to find out what she does with the talent, how she makes money, and which real problems she's solving with her company. But before I get to her, I want to remind you we are proudly sponsored by EASTGATE Hotel here in East Legon. For your comfort, for your luxury, for your ambience when it comes to hotel facilities, choose EASTGATE Hotel here in East Legon. Ladies and gentlemen, help me as we welcome Miss Sedita Adjeley Mensah. Sedita, you're welcome.
Thank you. Tinky Winky. Right now you are dipsy because you are in purple.
Which one is that one too?
Teletubbies.
Oh, me, I wasn't used to Teletubbies in cartoons when I was young.
I used to watch them. Teletubbies, the Twinnies, like all of them. I love cartoons, so even up till now.
As children, there was more fun than cartoons. No, Kwetinge, Alikoto,
I did that one.
Ball.
Yes, I did that one. But after school, like great time. But when I come back home, I make sure I watch cartoons. Balance the equation.
No, there was no TV at home, so.
Oh, sorry, you've missed. But you can still go back to it. I mean, YouTube.
Well,
is
I
there.
can, but. Well, so you're welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Can you give us your full name?
Sedita Victoriana Adjeley Mensah. There's a name be there, but I don't use it because it's special to my grandmother. So
about 7 to 8 names. This is.
Well, God gave me a father who loved names. Yes. Even my name means Sedita means precious gift or jewelry. So
wow.
So I'm not surprised I'm into this.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Wow. So let's just get right into the group. What do you do at AdjeleyGH Jewelry?
AdjeleyGH Jewelry is a Ghanaian accessory brand, jewelry and accessory brand that deals in handmade pieces that are made from beads, chains, semi-precious stones, glass beads, generally everything. Yes. So right now we are not into fine jewelry yet, but we're into general jewelry and accessories. Yes. Yes. And then we've started doing purses and bags, unique purses and bags.
Unique purses and bags. I see. All right. So now let's see. How did you start this whole thing about beads and all this? How did it start for you?
My mom, I would say my mom introduced me to jewelry because she had a wardrobe, not even a wardrobe, a small showcase where she showcased all her jewelry pieces, and those that meant were special to her. She had it in a very nice jewelry box, a musical jewelry box that my dad got from her from Turkey, and like I used to play with it, and I always wanted to know. I think I'm a very curious person by nature, so I always wanted to know how they were made and who made them and all that. So in growing up, I just wanted to find, and I fell in love with beads. That was my introduction to jewelry and accessory making. Yes, and since then I've been making it. I think yes. So
just by admiring what your mommy had.
Yes, I was fascinated by how they were made. Like, how do you come up with this? I think the question of how was always at the back of my head. Yes, and that's sparked my interest.
Okay, so did you decide to start a company to do that because of a talent you felt you had in that area, or because you learned something about it, or you were how?
I loved making them. As a kid, I was interested in it, but I think when I was a teenager, I always told myself I would have a jewelry brand, a jewelry business. But it was like just saying it to myself because I was also good at it, and I didn't know I was that good. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but my mom used to always say, the thing you've made is very nice. Like, and coming from my mother, who is very picky and very fashionable, and she would be like, this thing you've done is very nice, and my aunties were like, yeah, it's nice. And then my friends, they want it. I realized I had a knack for this, so it's sparked the interest, and I said, okay, I would want to have a jewelry brand, and that is what happened. And hey, I have it. Speak things and it will come to life.
Wow, yes. Positive vibes. Speak good things and it will come to pass. So you started to start AdjeleyGH.
Not necessarily AdjeleyGH, a jewelry brand.
A jewelry brand, yes. And now it's become AdjeleyGH. All right. So what were your first products?
My first products were, the first thing I made was from rags. My father used to have a rag a business where they cut rags for other brands, like big industrial companies. because they didn't want the fact that they will buy a lot of napkins and then they'll mess it up and throw it away. So they used to buy clothes, they'll cut it up, and the beads parts, they'll put it, they'll cut it out and put it out. So I used to collect them and make bracelets for my friends. And the first thing I sold was, I was 13 then, I was in JSS1. I sold it to my classmates Pelagwood, and I sold it for 1,000 cedis. That is now 10 pesos. 10 pesos. 10 pesos. 10 pesos. That's the first thing I actually sold. First thing I actually sold. Then my father realized this thing was going, because I was not paying attention to my books. So I was put on hold. Then
you were grounded.
Charlie. And then when I got to secondary school, I actually used every stage of my education. I've been able to use the beads to actually help myself and help other people. So in senior high school, the Wildlife Club, I was part of the Wildlife Club. I'm an animal fanatic, I love animals. So I made jewelry that they used to raise funds for the club to support wildlife. Yeah.
But back in the day, when you were trying to start, jewelry or doing beads here in Ghana wasn't anything lucrative. It wasn't a prestigious thing. Well,
it's not like it wasn't lucrative. It was more or less, it wasn't respected.
Yeah, it wasn't respected.
It wasn't respected because of the people that used to sell them, and then they're kind of I wouldn't say stigma as in a bad thing. I would say more or less of the people that make them. It's looked at non-educated people and old women, yes. And one of my mentors is actually an old woman, Auntie. Yeah, she taught me little things about the traditional bead business. Yes, and you look at it, and one time she was like, I've sent my children to school. They've gone, all the three of them have done their masters. And she's a widow.
Making and selling
yes, she's a widow. So I was like, wow, she's telling me something. And it's for now, we, the new generation of accessory designers, have flipped the script in the sense that we've been, research and information has opened our minds that we can actually make it bigger than what our people look at. So there was a lot of arguments from my father about this whole industry, but when they look, because they were into the gold, the silver, the fine jewelry, but normal accessories, they had to import it from outside. Yes, so the general accessory maker in Ghana was not looked at, but right now the script has flipped. So
that's changed. Wow. And indeed these days we see so many people doing different stuff, but your work stand out. I mean, anytime I see your work, there are times when I see your stuff, I'm like, wow. So how did she even sit down to put together this kind of concept to do this? Because no matter how many years you give me, I will never come up with this. What goes into the concept creation for some of the stuff you do?
If you ever want to know the ethos of our brand, that is what we stand for. We always say Adjeley is a Ghanaian jewelry business, accessory and jewelry business that deals with handmade pieces. And then what influences us? We get inspiration from music, culture, people, and then arts. So these are the things that I surround myself with, generally. I listen to music a lot. Sometimes when I'm listening to music, I actually see practically every genre, but majority of the time, because I love Hillsong. Then sometimes when a song inspires me, I listen to it. I can see color. I don't know how, but when I'm listening to something, I just see color and then I put it up.
Lucius Lion in Empire.
I see color, and then when I read about people, and I love arts, I love generally maybe dancing, not just the painting, the dancing and everything. It kind of moves me. And one of the arts that I really love is cartoons, and everybody should watch cartoons. It's good for you.
She's an actress too, by the way. She directed me when I
oh, Maxwell, don't bring that up. Like seriously, don't bring that up. No. But yeah,
I mean, Adjeley is multi-talented. She's multi-talented.
But I do love. So these are the things that we surround ourselves with. So in doing that, when I see, for example, when I see a woman, most of the things that I always do is to ask myself, how do I want to see her today? Or a guy. Like, there's this aspect, there's a set we call the Asante set. It's a set of 4 pieces. The reason why we did it has the jinyame, and then we wanted something very dynamic for a guy to actually wear all the time. And the reason why I made it a set of 4 was because sometimes when the guys wear pieces, women would like to associate themselves with what he's wearing. So they usually take a piece.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was more or less answering a question of when a guy goes, a girl, can I have one? And you're like, no. We're like, okay, I can give you this one, like, to remember me by. Yes,
I can give you one, but there's still 3 more.
There's three more, or I can just wear one, knowing that I have 3 more in the background. Yes, so that's so it's more or less those are some of the concepts that we go by.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it a profitable venture?
Oh, it is. It is.
You make good money.
Oh, yes, good money, very good money. And at the same time, it's more or less of good money coming with a lot of sacrifices. So profitable, I would say profitable in growth, because you have to actually make a decision as the head. This money, where should it go to? This money has come, paying workers and all that, yes. But we want to enter into this venture. Where are we going to get the money from? Who's going to support us? If we're not going to get the support, where do we go to? So yes, it's profitable, and we've seen growth. I mean, I started as one person, and now we are a group of people working for us. Wow. And then we actually buy things in large quantities that initially. The first time I actually went to Agbogbo to go and buy things, I was having 25 CDs. Now, if I go there and I buy things like 25, sister, now today you don't have money on you. I was like, oh, I'm just passing by. Like, yeah, that's it. And that's growth. That's what I see as profitable. If you have money and you're not growing as a business, what's your impact in the world? I mean, Coca-Cola moved from just Coke to Fanta to Minute Maid. They actually owned cinemas and a studio, and they actually sold it. They own businesses all over the world.
Now there's so much they're doing.
Yes, they bought some. I read they bought some juice factory in China, and I'm like, okay, you guys are in America, so we are profitable anywhere. We are growing everywhere. Yeah. So.
Wow, I see. I mean, that's very enlightening what you shared right now. Being a profitable venture, what are the mediums you employ to sell your products? Do you use traditional methods of selling, or you use social media? How do you sell?
We sell via, first and foremost, social media was actually a very good way to start as a business for me. My friend said, she was like, Sedita, this thing you are doing, you need to be on social media. And he was like, you need to be on Instagram. I was like, no, I don't see it, Sedita. It's not for you, it's for your brand. And that was when I was back in university, actually. So it's been very good. Right now we sell through our websites, adjeley.com. You should visit there. And we have our mediums of selling. We have people that sell for us. So we have agents that sell for us, and they are little sort of supporting people to have a side business. So they actually flood up the pictures we have to their friends or family. Do you want this? Then we actually reduce the prices for them to actually make a little bit of profit. Yes, and then we also have places we sell at. We also sell at Seasons. We sell Seasons in Tema. We actually sell in this hotel, EASTGATE. Yeah, EASTGATE Hotel.
Yeah. They have some of their products here.
We sell here, and then we have people in US and UK and Nigeria.
Wow, that's amazing. Yes. I mean, from something that you started small here in Ghana, you are all across.
Oh, that's the beauty of having a talent. That I was one time just telling God that, God, me, I've not even been to certain places. My things have been there. So that's the power. That's how the gospel also works. The gospel, because Jesus did not go to South Africa, but the gospel has. So with that mindset, I was like, okay, I'm cool, I'm done. I will not complain, please. I'll just,
Powerful. I mean, that's very amazing. And for those of us who may want to consider going into bead making, into accessories, I believe that hearing Adjeley's story and his experience should tell you that, look, the market out there is huge. The potential is amazing. I don't think he has even tapped into 5% of what she can do. That tells us that the market is so huge, and there's so much that we can all contribute to help each other to grow. So now we'll get to the very final part of our discussion with Adjeley. We want to find out, so what you do as an accessories designer, how does it benefit Ghana in any way? Okay,
first and foremost, I would like to say we have our workshop in Afinya, Mataiho Afinya to be precise. And when we moved, as a family, we moved there. And when we were moving, was too far, it's out of town, and everybody, when you mentioned Afinya, everybody was like, ish. And I was like, yeah. And one time, when I was overwhelmed, I was the only one doing everything, and I needed workers. And our gardener was the one who was like, oh, he has a girl who's not doing anything. She's living with her family. She's actually a squatter in one of the uncompleted buildings. And I employed her. Then we needed more help. And she said she knows a woman who's married, who's not working. My husband brought her down from the village. And her husband is a mason. but to live in an uncompleted building. I said, okay, employ the person. And then she came out, oh, I have a cousin who's also, so you get to realize that you're actually solving an issue
in your community.
Yeah, and entrepreneurs generally actually solve one of the major problems in every country, unemployment. The other thing is that we train the women. I basically make sure that I always ask, does she have a background in beading? They always say no. If she doesn't, I'm actually extra happy because I train. It gives me the opportunity to train the person, and you can leave me, but you've left with something.
Yeah.
So whether you go to your village, you go to another place, you can actually start something on your own. And this is
what you learned from.
Yes. And these are people that I train, and at the same time I employ them. So it's basically balancing the two together. And then one other thing is, we believe we're a brand that is actually showcasing a beautiful aspect of Ghana to the world. We've done pieces. One of our pieces, a Winima piece, we've sold over 100 pieces of that one.
Wow.
To different people, and they are always asking, how did you come up with this unique style? Also, it's a mistake we did, and then we realized that no, I could actually work something out. So yeah, it's making sure that Ghana is being highlighted as this is from Ghana, and it is good, and it is quality. Wow. And if I have it, you should have it too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you think if you had to get an investment of say 100,000, you can actually push the brand out there to become bigger than it is currently?
I want to ask, in cedis or in dollars?
Dollars.
Oh.
Okay, let's take cedis here in Ghana.
First and foremost, it would actually help the brand grow bigger, because we don't see ourselves just, we've started small, but we see the future and what we're doing. Because we're not, one of the things that is upon my heart generally is the women we have 2 of the women having kids who come. So right after they close from school, their children come to the workplace. You know, some businesses will not allow that, yeah. But I actually allow that. And one thing I do is, when they come from school, one of the students I'm teaching right now, she takes their homework. These are illiterate women. Homework, like, where's your homework? She inspects everything, and sometimes I help out. Like, I do that or she does it if I'm available. And we inspect the homework. We make sure. We want to do a project whereby we employ a lot more women, create studies for their children after school program, whereby once they finish, they close from school, their children are in a classroom in our office. We have a classroom, basically inspecting and helping, teaching the children their homework and everything. What the mother is going home with the child, everything has been. So when she goes home and she says that, sit down, steady, she knows that headache. And I've seen the impact on it. Because when the mother, Sister Emilia, for example, when she's leaving, she knows her daughter's homework has been inspected, has been done properly. So she necessarily doesn't worry about it. And that is upon my heart. Wow. And with $100,000, I think we'll make Ghanaian stones, gemstones. We have a lot of gemstones in Ghana that have not been harnessed. We can actually do something, because China is doing something with theirs, and we can do something here.
Wow. This has been the episode with Sedita Mensah. Her story is so amazing. I mean, there's a whole lot more. I'm sure we'll definitely book a part 2 of this interview, else the interview will enter into 2 hours. So ladies and gentlemen, before we crown it, I just want to find out, can you give us your final words for our viewers, and then your final thoughts about what you think about this entire show, Talent Masters? Okay,
so what I would like to say is, first and foremost, have an open view, research a lot, and pray. These are 3 things that you should have as somebody who wants to grow your talent and also grow as a person. And then another thing I would also like you to look into very well is read. In researching, you have to read a lot. And do not only look at your circle of talent. Look at others, other people, how they've been able to achieve theirs. I, for one, I love reading. If it comes to Warren Buffett, I read about him. If it comes to Voltaire, I read about him. If it comes to Bill Gates, technology, branding, anything that you find your hands on, read. It should be sensible, of course, and it should impact you properly. Another thing I would like to say is, I would like to congratulate Maxwell for doing this, because so much drama channels are in the country. We don't have people actually pushing forth Ghanaian talented people, so that others outside the world can see what we are doing to help our country. I am always saying this, that this is the Industrial Revolution season for Ghana, and if we do not push people out there, how are you going to help them? And if you have a talent and it is good, you say you have to be a talent master. If you have a talent, Maxwell is ready to put you out there. So why don't you just come on?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sedita Mensah, soon to be Mrs. I will not mention the name. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the episode 4 of Talent Master Show with me, Maxwell Mensah. We've had a very engaging interaction with Sedita Mensah of Adjeley Jewelry. I believe you've learned a lot. Let me remind you, we have been sponsored by EASTGATE Hotel here in East Legon. We are also sponsored by Chicken Plus, Ultimate Study Solutions Limited, Mantra Group, Ice Kinky Smoothie. But then, hey, the opportunities are available for you if you want to sponsor us, if you want to come on board, speak to us, and let's advertise the brand for you. My lovely shirt was sponsored by UTAMA, proudly African. Thank you very much, and we'll see you during the next episode. Adjeley, we have to fight.
Yes, we will fight.